What's up, everybody? Happy Easter and welcome back to Greedo's Gold Mine, where the heart is the gold, you are the stars, and together we make quite the journey so far. Today we're going to try something different. Unfortunately, streaming from an iPhone, and not having at least a good streaming platform yet in mind to do picture-in-picture, we're going to have to do this just purely verbally speaking, but I've kind of been suggested by the community based on interests I have, especially since being with Jill, as everyone knows her, my girlfriend, future wife. Um, Basically, there's been a suggestion for me to review and commentate on true crime, if you will. And so one thing about true crime that I've always particularly been interested in since living in the Los Angeles area and even visiting before that is the culture that kind of circulates around car chases. So in Los Angeles area, anytime there's a car chase going on, more or less, the news or whatever the regularly scheduled programming is will usually cut out and follow a car chase from start to finish. And I recently came across a channel, which I'll give a shout out to, Live Police Chases. And Live Police Chases, honestly, is exactly what it sounds like. They keep an eye on local news, national news, etc. And anytime there's a police chase going on that they can find, they upload pretty much the entire chase. Now, some of these are going to be longer than others doing it, but I figured we'd start out with a short one. There was a police chase in Los Angeles just a day ago that they posted. It's about 15 minutes long, and we're gonna start here and just kind of give you a perspective of what we think in this area when these things happen. So without further ado, I'm gonna start the video here. We're gonna stop it throughout as we comment and just kind of see wild things. But here goes nothing, I suppose. Our first true crime commentary and review. So let us begin. So to start this video, for some reason, there's not any sound. Sound kind of cuts in a minute or two in, but basically what I'm looking at is some sort of a silver car around East Los Angeles area doing 113 miles an hour on the highway. Thankfully, this is going on at night, so there's not nearly the same amount of traffic there would be during the day or even rush hours, but that's still pretty insane. 113 miles an hour flying down the I-710 north towards Pomona. And at this point, he's got at least one car behind him, lights on, keeping up with a pretty decent distance behind. They usually do some pretty wild things. One can probably assume that until I get some audio on it, that this is a stolen car of some variety, or somebody that basically got caught for something and didn't want to be locked up, presumably, even though they always get locked up at the end, more or less. Oh, here we go. So what you basically do is, what's being seen on the news is usually a overhead of the helicopters that are following along. So the helicopter view will get the car as it's flying, and they usually on the bottom have a miles per hour marker, and usually it says something like breaking news, CHP pursuit, which is California Highway Patrol. And at the top of the screen, they'll usually tell what particular highway or street said individual is on, and as it gets into new places, they'll change it up. So right now, they are in Commerce, California, which is kind of an industrial area, although there's a big casino there, and also a pretty massive outlet mall, the Citadel. So, it's kind of an area besides gambling and shopping that's pretty much just industrial stuff. Also child support office, which I've become familiar with, unfortunately. But yeah, right now you can basically see it's light traffic, but the guy is weaving in and out of what is there. So right now there's at least 3 cars on the screen with him, a truck and 2 others, and followed behind him is still the police. So Yeah, he's going around the semi, just shifting lanes left and right just to kind of get around anyone that is there, sticking to the right lane. Now just shifting over. I think they're trying to use the cars, not only just as a getaway, but they're actually weaving in and out of cars relatively tightly to kind of use them as a barricade to slow down the police itself as they go. And what you can hear on these as you go is the actual news commentators themselves. So, these are always pretty wild. He's generally going about 90 to 100 miles an hour at this point. He does at least have his headlights on and backlights, so I suppose there's that. But, we cranked up. We're now over 100. We're at 110 again. Now, the whole time, mind you, there's a spotlight from a helicopter on this car. There is no way this car is getting away visibility-wise, and that's usually how it is. I've only seen like one or two of these in my life where they managed to lose the helicopter and presumably get away. It doesn't usually happen. And of course, that's just extra charges for the person. Reckless driving, endangerment, usually they crash into stuff and it's damage to public property. Oftentimes they resist arrest. A number of different things. And typically, especially once they get onto the highways, if this starts in a local suburb or city area, it might start with county or the local town's police doing the attempted arrest. But once they get on the highway, they pretty much always relinquish control over the California Highway Patrol. So it does look like there's only one officer following for right now. But the officer is keeping up, and in an SUV for that matter. So, that's pretty impressive on its own right. I would say there's probably one car distance from him, although the car in chase keeps moving lanes over and over. The cop at least is staying in the same lane more or less, except now they're having to weave in and out of traffic together. It does allow a little bit of distance. Oh, now he just got off on an exit randomly. He's going about 62 on these things, and they always have tight curves. Oh, nope, this one isn't one of the tight curved ones. It looks like it splits to a right and a left, and he's going to go right onto city streets again at this point. So we are on Firestone Boulevard. I actually know where Firestone Boulevard is. So Southgate, California. Firestone is one that goes through a couple different suburbs and areas. He is doing 81 on what is supposed to be a 45 mile an hour or so street. This is not unusual for these things, and this is why there's usually a lot of damage involved in an LA car chase. Oftentimes, too, what I've seen in the past, which is pretty wild, is where individuals will try to go vigilante and block the car or stop the car themselves, which is not advisable. I think that's actually flat out illegal too, believe it or not. So you don't want to be a good Samaritan in this situation. You just want to get the F out of the way of these particular cars, especially dude is doing 70 in a residential / industrial zone. There's at least a lot of green lights now, but they don't follow traffic signals for sure in these situations. Now he's weaving in and out of traffic that's on the city street, and there's actually a significant amount more cars on the streets at this point than there are on the highways, which is not very unusual for Los Angeles area. On another street I know very well, Atlantic Avenue, he is down to, he just did a quick little turn off to the left, getting back up to 37 miles an hour. Why is he going a lot slower now? Now he's doing left turns to take the police around. The helicopter is still completely over view, watching him. And there's a police officer following him around all these turns, or her. Actually, I'm making a bad assumption there. Who knows? It's gone both ways depending on which car chase I've seen. But the suspect is being followed by one police car, California Highway Patrol, it looks like. And yeah, there's about a 2 car distance between them, but they're actually just doing pretty reckless turns. They're not really minding any of the cars in the local area and neighborhood at this point. But yet there's a massive spotlight on this car the whole time from the helicopter, always watching overhead. Person just ran a red light and picked up the speed back up to about 60 miles an hour, which is pretty wild. Oh no. Okay, the news actually cut out itself there for a second and blacked out, but they brought it back really quickly. Van just had to get out of his way, doing a really reckless left turn, going back onto, I think they're trying to find at least a highway again, but I don't think they're going to be able to. They're on Salt Lake Avenue, East Los Angeles. Wow, 60 miles an hour, at least staying on the right side of the road, which is, whoa, he just hit something. Whoa! Okay, so here, it looked like he clipped something on the sidewalk trying to, there was a big semi turning in front of said individual, and it looked like to get around, he basically clipped something on the sidewalk, which again is not unusual for damage of public property to happen, and then just does this wild turn around the semi itself. And we're talking about going still like 30 miles an hour in a residential industrial zone while doing this. And somehow the California Highway Patrol was able to keep up tit for tat on it. Yes, still going 70 on surface streets. That is pretty effing wild. Really effing wild. Wow, this is crazy. Yeah, they can't pit maneuver the individual, they just said, because they're going too fast, and that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. Yeah, this is pretty wild. Now it looks like they're on, whoa, just blew through a stop sign. Just blew through a stop sign. We're going 67 miles an hour, blowing through every stop sign on these surface streets. They all say slow, stop, yield, slow, stop, yield. And there is no yielding, stopping, or slowing going on. This guy is just hitting the pedal to the metal, sort of swerving between both lanes of traffic, in and out a little bit. At least using flashers to warn people when they hit the intersections, but just went through a pretty wild left turn again. We got the police following, probably with a 4 to 5 car distance at this point, kind of keeping up. But yeah, okay, the police are definitely flying as well. All right, so now, yeah, dude is just driving around randomly. And I always have to wonder when this happens where they're actually planning on going, because, again, I can't highlight enough. There is literally always a helicopter in these situations following with a spotlight on the individual. There is almost nowhere to go. And LA doesn't have, like, as dense as it can be, especially in these more residential areas, there's nothing tall. So the only times I've ever seen anyone get away sort of from the initial police chase and out of the view of the helicopter is in like downtown, where there is a lot of taller, your skyscrapers and stuff, the few that really do exist in the LA area. And even then, it's almost impossible from my experiences. So what they're thinking and where they're going in their mind has always been something that I have wondered myself. Especially with all the extra charges you're going to get from this. Is it really worth it? Who knows? But, they do have commercial breaks in between where they'll be right back. But, at least with live police chases, they don't usually have a full commercial break. But yes, guys still going on some city streets, and they're using different news clips from different places to do this, which is pretty awesome. But dude is still doing 70 miles an hour. Florence Avenue, I know that street too. Yeah, just kind of doing a joyride, doing some pretty wild turns. But now at this point, he's going at least, I don't know. He gets slow during turns, obviously, to keep control. But then once he gets straight again, lots of left turns, not any right turns yet, which is interesting. Just keeps looping around the metro area as he goes, and with the police following. Just one car for now, which makes me wonder why. Well, I guess you can't predict where they go, so you can't have a line of police cars to block it off. But they're at least keeping track of him. All right, people are pulling over to the side a little bit every now and then so that they don't get hit. But you never know what can happen in these situations. Apparently, he just threw something out the window too, which doesn't surprise me. Usually, they have substances or pew-pews or something on them a lot of the time, and they try to get away with whatever by throwing it out the window, but does that actually work? Lots of random left turns. It looks like maybe there's 2 police following at this point. And they're not going as fast in this area, probably just, it just says 50 miles an hour, 45, which actually is kind of normal for a lot of Angelenos, even on surface streets at night. So not as fast as he could be going, but not exactly slow either. Yeah, this is pretty wild. Oh my God. All right, looks like he's swerving a lot. Oh yeah, he's going in the wrong lane to avoid a line of traffic and speeding up some. That's completely not unusual either. What kind of car is he in? I can't tell from, it looks like some sort of a silver Honda maybe, or a Toyota Camry? I can't tell. But yeah, no, it's pretty wild. At least dude's driving with their headlights, I'll give him that, or her. Because yeah, it's oftentimes, oh, whoa, okay, so there are police coming from the other side, and he just blew past them. Interesting. Back on Florence Avenue, Southgate, East Los Angeles. So he's not even really leaving, or she, the local vicinity that the car chase is in. Now they're finally starting to do some right turns and circle back along ways that they came. Yeah, this is pretty wild. This is actually a pretty tame car chase too, for the most part, from things we've seen. As we talk about more of these and other true crime as we go on, you guys might get an idea. I would really love to be able to put the screen up and do a picture-in-picture view of these as we stop and kind of talk about what's going on. So yeah, just absolutely going around all traffic at stoplights, burning through another stoplight. But yet the helicopter in the spotlight is still on this car. Now she's come to a little bit of a block. So you got cars parked on this side of the street to him, and over here, a bunch of traffic that's kind of merging into a certain lane. So, all right, he stopped. They got this guy out. It is a guy. They didn't hesitate. You basically had one trooper pull up on this side, one trooper behind, and I think another one came from the other direction. But there's basically 1, 2, 3. Let's stop that and see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 police officers. And they literally, once this person couldn't drive anymore, they were stuck because of the traffic and parked cars, they just bum rushed in, popped the door open, and yanked the guy, it looks like a guy, out of the car, threw him to the ground pretty quickly. So what this person did, I'm not exactly sure. It seems like they have some crime organization affiliations, but they're still not really saying. They do have this person in cuffs at this point and against the police vehicle. Yeah, this was a pretty efficient takedown. It looks like short of whatever happened when they went up the curb earlier in the chase, they didn't even really damage much, which is kind of unusual for a lot of these LA car chases. Um, yeah, this is pretty wild. Apparently, this was Friday night, and if I had to take a guess without knowing, this is probably a stolen vehicle. Oftentimes they are. Um, yeah, they really yanked that guy out and put him down hard to the ground. They were pretty efficient in handcuffing him too. It doesn't look like even if he did resist, there wasn't a lot of option to it because like I said, there's at least no, go back. All right, let's see. Yeah, okay, let's see. There's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there's 6 officers there, and they're all surrounding him. At this point, 2 of them have him in cuffs up against the car, and I think they're checking out the vehicle at this point to make sure no one's in there, nothing's in there. Yeah, as they said on the news, this is a pretty much one of the best takedowns that we've seen. This is pretty wild stuff, honestly. This is pretty wild stuff. Yeah, I don't know. This is pretty interesting. Yeah, they really did pull the guy out. It was a really quick takedown. Basically, they pull, when they do this takedown, they just literally go up to the door. No hesitation, pull it open, headlock to yank the person out. And yeah, dude is definitely not going to have a great night. He's probably going to county first and then prison thereafter. And trust me, from somebody who's at least spent a month in LA County, that is no cakewalk or picnic. It's one of the worst jails in the country, supposedly, and I can totally attest to that. It's the code 4, Pat. The good news, we still have time to make a data now tonight, so enjoy. So they said it's a code 4. I'm not really sure what a code 4 is. Let's look that up. Everything is under control. There you go. So at this point, everything is under control. Yeah, this is pretty insane. So they used like 3 different news network clips to pull this together because at some point, apparently, each one of them had commercial breaks or something. I'm not really sure. But that ends a police chase and a review and sort of commentary about what is actually going on. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And until the next one we can find, or whatever true crime we might review, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks a lot for tuning in as always, and hope you have a good one. Thanks, folks.